Picture, if you will, Mr. Vandergelder. Hair as shiny as a newly minted dime. Eyes as big and round as silver dollars. Skin as soft and mossy as an old greenback.
I can feel her now.
Age, 19. Weight, 102. Waist, 47.
Waist 47.
That's with the money belt.
Hello again, welcome to another edition of Arts and Ideas. I'm Sue Swinand, and today we're over at Calliope Theater in Main Street in downtown Boylston. Downtown Boylston. And my guest today is David Ludt, who is the co-founder and also the artistic director of this theater company. And he's also a teacher who's been teaching in English is your major field?
English is my major field, yeah.
And he's a professor for humanities at the Math and Science Academy here in Worcester.
Right.
And how long have you been at the Math and Science place, David?
I'll be entering my 8th year. So, and I am the humanities teacher there for the group of 50 juniors who are in the academy.
Well, I have to say a little funny thing because I was browsing around on the internet last night, and I went through one of your evaluations and one of the students said that David was the best teacher he had ever had in all his life ever with the final word. So I'm
funny.
Sure you're quite an inspiration and a mentor to a lot of young people, and you do a lot with young people, I know, at the Calliope Theater as well.
Right.
When did tell us about Calliope?
Let me tell you about this. We started in 1982, so 2012 was our 30th anniversary.
Wow,
in that
30
time period,
years.
In that time period, we've put on well over 260 main stage productions and probably 2 or 3 dozen road shows and other things, and about 50 preteen productions for younger students, and so it's a year-round operation. We started in Northborough, Mass, at a church hall, the First Parish Unitarian Church Hall.
Remember that.
We were there for 17 years and putting on anywhere from 4 shows to 8 shows per year at the Unitarian Church Hall, and then eventually in 1999 we lost our lease there and spent about a 6-month period of time with no home, and then eventually found our way here into Boylston. And So
you came here in 99?
In 99, April 1st of 1999 was when we actually passed papers on this building. And this building was a church. It used to be St. Mary of the Hills in Boylston, which then became Liberty Church. And Liberty Church was trying to sell it so they could buy property for a new facility in Shrewsbury. And so Liberty kind of like struck a deal with us, and we had a foundation, a charitable foundation, the Fuller Foundation, that offered enough money for us to purchase this outright. And so we purchased the building and the parking lot across the street and moved in April of 1999. The first several months we kind of like shared the space with the Liberty Church because they had no home, and so they were here some days, on Sundays essentially, and we were here on the other days, and so it was kind of an interesting arrangement there, but it was just like a godsend to be able to find this place.
I was just going to say, to have a permanent home that you can develop.
So few community theater companies have their own space. They're usually renting a town facility or a school facility.
Oh, the same thing happens with the visual arts galleries. You know, there's no place you can call home. It's like year to year, you're just kind of hanging on. So
that allowed us to expand our program. We had actually instituted a youth theater program back in 1990, so this was our 23rd year of running a teen youth theater program. And we just finished up a production of Hello, Dolly as our summer program this year. And
now that was with the teens?
With the teens. That was the teen program. And we've done, Crazy for You, we've done Les Mis, we've done Guys and Dolls, Anything Goes, you name it, the whole
You do
whole
a
litany.
complete spectrum of theater play types, right?
Well, in the
Serious,
in the summertime, we do musicals with the teens, and the musicals can be serious or comedic. So we tend to vary them. Fiddler on the Roof was a very moving one. Les Mis was very moving, but you know, Crazy for You and you know, Hello Dolly are just kind of like light fluff. So that is part of the summer operation here, and as I said, we started that in 1990. And it was actually started that way because my wife, Kathy, who passed away in 2003, and I were unemployed that particular summer. And so we needed to generate, you know, some income for ourselves, and said, why don't we found a youth theater program? And so we did in 1990, and it just took off.
And it's extremely successful. I know you've been oversold on, you know, you can just
on
you have a waiting list
on enrollment
for people.
alone. We have a waiting list for the enrollments. So we right now have 30 kids involved, teenagers involved every summer, and we have 90 preteens involved every year, with a spring program that operates on Saturdays, a fall program that operates on Saturdays, and then a summer program during the daytime for preteens. So it's a big facet of our operation here.
What a terrific opportunity for young people who have some interest in theater and or performing arts in general, you know, to get some exposure, to have the fun and camaraderie.
And for the teen program, we run it 6 days a week. So we have rehearsals Sundays through Fridays for a 1 month period, and then we open the show. So from 7 to 10 p.m. For a full month, we're operating a theater program for the teens. The preteen program in the summer operates over the course of 6 weeks, but during the daytime, from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon.
Several students from Boylston were in the Hello Dolly production.
Right, we generally attract more kids from other towns and other communities. Most of them come from Shrewsbury, but we had 11 different communities represented in our production of Hello Dolly. So it's a widespread reach that our tentacles have. It's kind of neat to be able to operate that kind of a program for kids.
Now, being a teacher of literature and a lover of writing, and I know you do some writing yourself and have written plays that you have put on in the past.
Right.
Did you come to the theater through literature or vice versa?
I came to the theater through performing. And so it was from a performing background that I got involved in the theater. After I received my master's degree in English and was teaching, you know, I decided, well, I've got this extra time around. Why don't I, you know, audition for some plays? And I had always been a singer, and I had performed somewhat in high school, but nothing in college, in terms of drama. And so I decided to take my hand at, you know, community theater, and got involved in local community theaters with the Westboro Players, with a Spotlighters group in Hudson, with a place in Bolton, Mass, and in Worcester there were several theater groups. And I said, geez, this is a pretty good deal, you know. This is kind of enjoyable. And eventually I met my wife-to-be in a production at Westboro Players, and we got married and had a child and got back into the theater performing aspect and decided, maybe we could start our own theater company. Let's see what happens. And so we started it.
It makes me ask myself, what is it that drives people to the theater? You know, there's got to be this tremendous thrill about it. I don't know. People devote their lives to it, and obviously it's very rewarding. What do you think drove you to go into the theater?
The gratification for a performer is I've found over the years twofold. One is doing something in front of an audience and having the audience respond.
So that
And
communication.
that communication.
That connection.
And that connection, which is really magical in the theater. You don't get that in the film genre. The other thing is the self-fulfillment that a performer gets doing a job, getting a job done well, and that enjoyment, that inner satisfaction. And I've always had that inner drive to do something well and to receive some kind of intrinsic reward.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a painter, but you know, it's the same thing with visual arts. it doesn't really matter if it goes to the Metropolitan, you know. What matters is you look at it and you know you've hit something.
Right.
You know, you feel satisfied.
And if the painting just hangs on the wall in your study and nobody else sees it, it still is important
Yes,
to you.
it satisfies
So
you.
it's that self-fulfillment that sometimes can be acknowledged, doesn't have to be acknowledged, but there's something additionally magical about the theater when the audience and the characters, the actors, connect. And that's
And
something
they're transported.
That's something I tell the kids. I say, you know, these are the moments to live for. When all of a sudden you can be out on stage and you know, you realize that you and the audience members are on the same wavelength. You know, when somebody reacts to you, when you're playing, you know, when you're doing Anne Frank, and you're Otto Frank, and you're there on stage and telling about what happened to Anne in her last days, and tears are streaming down your face, and you hear the audience sobbing as well.
Sniffling.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, you know you're
That's
connecting.
it. You know you're connecting.
You know you're
yeah.
connecting. Don't you think all the arts are for that purpose, though, of reaching some level of awareness and experience that's above your normal?
It's a transcendent
Yes,
kind of
absolutely. I agree entirely.
situation. Last week I attended a seminar at a Walden Pond in Concord on approaching Walden, and we dealt with transcendentalism and this whole, you know, existence out there and making that connection across ages and across peoples. And so, yeah, it's there.
I really believe that's the whole purpose of art, is moments of
Yeah.
transcendence
Yeah.
that you can share, and
Yeah.
so that's wonderful.
And in a sense, that's what also works with literature. And you know, I teach a course in Humanities. It's a history of Western civilization, and it's making those connections between the literature and the people of a particular age and people living now. And so a lot of what I do, it's kind of interesting, how I teach at a math and science school. Well, how does that relate to the theater? Well, it's communicating. It's teaching something and experiencing
And very
something.
important for people in the sciences and math. I know, like MIT has that fabulous objective of having students have that experience in the arts and in the creative fields of all different art forms, and trying to incorporate that into their science and technology.
And you know, most of education is communication. Most of theater is communication. It just yeah,
Wonderful.
it just works together.
So how many plays are you doing a year now?
So we usually it's somewhere around 9 to 10 different productions. This year I think we're doing 8. Next year I think there are going to be 9.
And the summer shows are for student workshops.
Student workshops, and the audiences are adult audiences, and you know, family and friends.
And then the fall show.
The fall show, this fall we're doing a comedy called Unnecessary Farce, which is a relatively new comedy. It opens on October 17th, and it's an adult comedy, so it's not geared for younger
Who
students.
picks the shows?
We have a board of directors. There are 13 people on the board of directors, and we all vote on the plays. I usually present a slate of plays to the board, and we negotiate. And it's a little bit of give and take. You know, there's some people who everybody winds up reading the plays.
Musicals,
yeah, we have to do a balance of
serious,
musicals, comedies, and serious plays. And so I read somewhere between 40 and 50 plays a year.
Do you have a favorite play?
No.
No.
It's like asking me, do I have a favorite musical? No. No. The favorite one is the one I'm working on at that particular time. So we have opening on October 17th we have Unnecessary Farce, and then opening on November 29th is our Christmas play, and we're doing Scrooge, the musical version by Leslie Bricusse, which was made into the movie. And so we're doing that. That opens on November 29th, and that's our Christmas play. We decide in September of every year what our slate is going to be the following calendar year. So right now we're working on thinking of plays for 2013. We have like 3 or 4 of them already kind of like set in our minds, but we've got to flesh out the rest of the schedule.
Now, do people like in the community come forward and audition?
Where does the
How
talent
that
come
work?
from?
Yeah.
Is a good question. We publish our listings in various media and various websites. We have an email list of people who are interested in auditions. This coming week, or I'm sorry, tomorrow, we have auditions for our October production. Each play takes anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks from audition to actual performance.
That's not long, is it?
Which is not very long. So we've got auditions coming up this week. There are about 24 people who are auditioning for 6 roles in this play.
So can someone out in the community look at your website and see when you're calling for auditions?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have auditions for Scrooge at the end of August and the beginning of September. And they're all listed on the website.
What about musicians? And do you need people like that as well?
Musicians usually contact us on their own, and we've got a network of musicians who know other musicians, and so sometimes we'll find new people as musicians. The musical director is kind of a critical person to have, and John Leslie, who's one of the other co-founders of Calliope, is our musical director for all our musicals.
And you two have been together since the beginning?
Yeah, for 35 years. So
wonderful.
Yeah, that helps too.
You must have a good working relationship.
Oh
and
yeah.
Really.
And most of the board members have been on the board for 15 years or more, so that helps too. And
it's wonderful that I know you're the where the buck stops with the chief cook and bottle washer. So
yeah.
He was just telling me, the exit sign is out, so he's hands-on doing a lot of the maintenance.
A lot of
keeping
the maintenance.
Keeping everything afloat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the theater is really quite a wonderful space. This is called the proscenium?
It's a proscenium type theater, yeah, yeah.
And the facility is so convenient. I can't tell you what a delight it is to come here. The parking lot is right across the street and it's free. And they have a lovely lobby with soft drinks and refreshment, and it's a delightful experience. So
we added the lobby. The lobby was an addition in 2008. And that actually, the addition cost us as much as the original building cost. So in a 2-year period of time, we raised enough money to put on that addition.
How are you raising all the money?
Through grants and donations from audience members. We have a 50-50 raffle. We raffle off baskets of stuff. Every penny we make on the concession counter for refreshments goes to that.
So your ticket sales would not be doing the job?
No, ticket sales, and the tickets are so reasonable. They're $15 for senior citizens and students, and $18 for adults.
This is one of the things I think is most remarkable and most commendable, because so often theater tickets in Boston or New York, they're an arm and a leg, and who can afford it? Yeah. Whereas here, you can come to the theater for $15. It's just wonderful, and that's part of your mission, isn't it?
That's part of it, and we see the maximum we can fit in here is 170 people. For a non-musical. Once we have a musical, we kind of like take some space away for the orchestra. So if we can fit 150 people in here for a musical, that's a sellout house. And
you sell out all the time.
And we sell out. Every show usually has, for the musicals, most of the musical performances are sold out.
You must have a very loyal patronage.
We have a very loyal patronage. We have about 4,000 people on our mailing list, and we send a mailing out for every show. And we continually update the mailing list.
And you know why you get a loyal patronage? Because they had fun the last time and it was a good show.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's wonderful what you're providing to the community,
and
especially I think as an artist myself, the opportunity for me to show my work somewhere, or the opportunity for a young person to get some experience in front of the audience. It's something you can't buy. It's wonderful.
We have student performers who are 15, 16 years old who have been on stage in 20, 30 different productions.
Wow. So they're old hands.
And they're old hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have some other projects that you do with the theater company too, performing out away from this.
We have an outreach. Some of our older performers or senior performers, retired performers, got together and under John Leslie's direction formed what we call the Calliope Young at Heart Singers. And so we've got some retired people who rehearse on Wednesday mornings and put together programs and go out to councils of the aged and retirement communities. And they had, this past year, about 40 different performances.
Talk about fulfilling. That must be so rewarding.
And during school vacations, if I'm not involved in something that occupies my daytime, I'll usually fill in if they need a substitute. And it's really very rewarding to go to a community where people are shut in or not shut in, and they just come and you sing songs that were familiar to them when they were young.
So you bring the theater and the performing arts to them,
yeah,
which is great.
And that's something we do for free, just for a donation.
Do they do sing-along?
We encourage them to sing along,
That's great.
Which is kind of neat.
That's wonderful. I love it. Well, gee, that's an opportunity. What other volunteer opportunities are there for people if they connect to your website?
If they want to volunteer to help out in concessions and box office and stuff like that, we can accommodate them as well. We occasionally look for backstage people, people to work as assistant directors, to help with scenery and costumes. Those opportunities are always exist.
What was the name of the group that goes out to the seniors again?
That's the Calliope Young at Heart
Young at Heart. That sounds wonderful. I bet there are lots of people who would like to participate in that.
That would be very good to get more involved in that.
So, so you have in the fall coming up the late October
comedy, Unnecessary Farce.
Unnecessary Farce, and then their Christmas show will be late November, early December,
correct.
And that's going to be the Scrooge.
Scrooge,
yes,
the musical.
So that sounds wonderful, and I think we should mention again your website.
Yes, it's www.calliopeproductions.org.
And you can really find out a lot about the history, everything you need to know about it. And their schedules are on there, box office times, prices, everything.
There are photos from past productions, all kinds of stuff.
You did. You had a huge history documented on the website, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
So you might enjoy checking that out. And, you know, it's just something so worthy in our community that I bet a lot of people are not aware of.
We're under the radar, it seems.
You know, I've driven by so many times, and I have to admit, I've only recently discovered it again. And when Lou and I came, we just loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling all my friends about it because that's why I wanted to do the show.
Oh, yeah.
But I have to commend you too for being an inspiration to the young people, and a mentor, and providing this for the community. It's really quite a wonderful service.
Thank you.
And so the other thing is, let's tell them again exactly where you are.
We're at 150 Main Street in Boylston. Main Street is Route 70. One thing I'd like to add is the cooperative effort that we've experienced with other theater groups, local theater groups. Westboro Players, Worcester County Light Opera Club have been very good at helping us find props. We loan them materials, they loan us materials, and there's this cooperative effort, not a competitive effort, but a cooperative effort among various theater groups. Pilgrim Soul Productions, which produces plays at the Hibernian Club in Worcester and at the Mill out in Whitensville under the direction of Matt Carr, have all worked with us for a number of years. And we're actually putting on one of his shows here in February of this coming year. And so that cooperative nature of theater companies is kind of unique to find.
It really becomes like a family because people begin to know each other, and you know
people
everybody
who
in the
perform in
business.
our plays, perform in their plays, and it's really kind of neat.
And you wait and see what roles come up that might be good for you.
You know, this past May, I performed in a Worcester County Light Opera production. And so, you know, those kinds of connections exist, and whenever I can find them, you know, I try to encourage them.
And everybody helps everybody.
Yeah, which is the way it should be.
That's what makes it work.
That's how artists are supposed to work.
Well, thank you so much for giving us time today. I know you have a very busy production schedule, and I appreciate your being here and telling us about the Calliope Theater.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you'll join us again next time for another edition of Arts and Ideas.
The parade passes by. I'm gonna go and take Saturday's highlight before the parade passes by. I'm gonna get some life back into my life, ready to move out in front. I had enough of just passing by and by. The last of them, the best of them, I can hold my head up high. For I'm gonna fall again, I'm gonna drive again, I'm gonna feel my heart coming alive again before the parade passes by. Look at that crowd up ahead. When the parade passes by,